Owiti. So there has been a lot of calls for the stepping aside of the former CS Health, that's James Macharia. He's now in the transport docket. But those calling for his stepping aside are saying he was in the health ministry while the making of what has been described as the 5 billion shilling scandal was in the making, alongside, of course, his PS, Nicholas Muruguri. So today, some members from ODM have come out to say, whilst the strike or protest will not take place tomorrow, if their demands are not met, that major protest will still take place. Let's listen to what MP Ugunja, that is Sophia Wanuna, had to say earlier.
The public demonstrations, we are not just issuing empty threats. We mean business. When these demands, if these demands are not met by the end of this week, come next week, you will see what you've never seen in this country.
All right, and of course the demonstration is not just on the health scandal, but also what has been playing out in as far as the NYS is concerned, the 791 million shillings that was lost in that docket, and now the push and pull that is being witnessed even within the Jubilee camp. And we're asking, a big Q, do you support the planned protest by the opposition? Do you support those planned protests by the opposition? Talk to us tonight. You can send in a message, 22155, or you can tweet in at KTN News, at KTN Kenya, or to me directly at Sophia Wanuna. Would love to hear from you. I will sample your thoughts in this live broadcast. Let's now have a look at our top stories tonight.
Kiingereza mingi mnafanyia catwalk hapa around na ni wazi pesa ya umma imepotea.
The Jubilee administration, the president and the deputy needs to come out and tell Kenyans exactly what they know.
The grand fallout between Ruto and Waiguru, even as the opposition sustains pressure against the government.
One of them threw a can directly on my face, which hit me on the face.
Why, when he comes into the field, do we now begin to have violence?
And a turn for the worse in the supremacy battle for the South Rift. Plus, a brand new mother is among the KCSE candidates sitting their examinations. Also coming up, will it be Clinton or Trump? Counting hours to the D-Day for the U.S. We begin with the Orange Democratic Movement that has now postponed by 7 days its planned mass action over corruption in government. The postponement came with an ultimatum to the government to apologize for what they termed as taking Kenyans for a ride on corruption following Deputy President William Ruto's admission of loss of funds in the National Youth Service (CAM).
In politics, they say there are no permanent friends or foe, and Dan Mumbi Waiguru may now know that all too well. As Cabinet Secretary for Devolution, she came under fire in May 2014 over the transfer of National Youth Service Director Kipli Murugut, but Deputy President William Ruto came to her defense.
Hii watu wawache makelele. Kazi ya kuajiri wafanyikazi wa serikali, kutransfer, kufanya nani atafanya kazi wapi, ni kazi ya public service na rais na mimi. Kama iko maneno hiyo mtuulize sisi, wacha kwenda kugombanisha watu wengine wadogo huko chini.
More trouble was to follow Waiguru following corruption allegations over the loss of 791 million shillings at the NYS. Ruto's close ally Eden Duale was on her side.
Mesikia siasa mingi iko NYS, Waiguru, nini na nini, hiyo yote ni maneno ya propaganda.
That tune would change after Duale and Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen were dragged into the NYS scam in a sworn affidavit by Waiguru.
She needs a psychiatrist and she needs prayers.
But it was perhaps her appearance before the National Assembly's Public Accounts Committee last week where she implicated William Ruto's aide Farouk Kibet that may have touched her own nerve.
You know, the masterminds cannot be walking around doing catwalk on us when public money has been lost, giving us long lectures on influencing investigation, I don't know, this and that. No.
The latest Ruto-Waiguru drama providing fodder for ODM.
And William Ruto cannot turn around and project himself as some saint when the matter of NYS is being talked about, while we know that he was the first person actually to come to the defense of this matter.
The Jubilee administration, the president and the deputy needs to come out and tell Kenyans exactly what they know about this, the corruption surrounding NYS.
The MPs are accusing President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy.
You know, these scandals of Jubilee are like a hydra-headed octopus. You know, they have got tentacles all over. Tentacles all over. And no one is actually innocent in this matter. No one in the Jubilee administration is innocent.
They are also demanding the resignation of Health Permanent Secretary Nicholas Muraguri and Transport Cabinet Secretary James Macharia, whom they say was in charge of the Ministry of Health when the health scam was tailored. The scam includes, among other things, the purchase of 100 mobile clinics at 10 million shillings each.
Those goods containers you saw, you're being told each of them is to go at 10 million. Are they gold-plated or what? Are they carcinogenic or what?
The public demonstrations, we are not just issuing empty threats. We mean business. When these demands, if these demands are not met by the end of this week, come next week you will see what you've never seen in this country.
The opposition has always dismissed the government's record in the war against graft. But with new demands by ODM, the government may be staring at a fresh round of mass action by the opposition. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
The Big Q in association with DSTV.
So it is the alleged corruption, whether it's in NYS or the Ministry of Health, that has the opposition saying if the president and the deputy do not apologize or even hit to their demands to sack or have step aside CS Macharia and PS Muraguri, they will hold demonstrations. So we're asking you now, a Big Q, do you support the planned protest by the opposition? At KTN News, at KTN Kenya, or at Sophia Wanuna is where you can send your thoughts tonight. And staying with the woes of the Jubilee government, former Lands Cabinet Minister Charity Ngilu is accusing the Jubilee administration of failing to fulfill its campaign pledges to provide better healthcare, food and water for all Kenyans. Ngilu, who was kicked out of the cabinet in March last year, has now vowed to campaign against the Jubilee government ahead of next year's polls.
Close to 2 years after falling out with the Jubilee regime, former Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu now appears to have a serious axe to grind with our former ally President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto.
Sioni chakula, sioni maji, sioni proper health care, sioni watoto wote wakisoma, sioni women empowerment. So I can talk about it without fear.
And with only 273 days to the general election, Ngilu, who campaigned alongside Uhuru and Ruto in 2013, now wants the duo out on account of unfulfilled campaign pledges.
I can talk about it without fear. Na hii si siasa, tulisema ifanyike na pesa iko. Na Uhuru Kenyatta akasign, akaweka sahihi yake. Na unajua anaweka na hiyo kimodho chake na ekia.
Wako wewe. Ulinisimamisha hapo mbele ya bunge. Nikafuta mawaziri na nani ambao sasa wananilaumu. They hate me. Wengine wana campaign against me.
And the fact that she's going for governor indicates what I'm saying to be true. That, well, if you go for governor, Kalonzo is not going for governor. Her entry can therefore be seen as strengthening the opposition within Ukambani, because they'll work together.
Brace the NAC leader campaigns for the Kitui governorship Analysts predict that the Ngilu headache could negate any gains made by the Uhuru-Ruto camp to the Ukambani region, particularly after the recent defections to the Jubilee Party, a state of affairs which pundits argue benefits Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka as he jostles for the opposition coalition's presidential ticket.
The Wiper Democratic Movement will be calling for a delegates conference soon. Wiper delegates will, I'm quite sure, make their choice. In fact, at this point, I would even want to invite anybody else who wants to run for the ticket, Wiper nomination, as the flag bearer for Wiper, to perhaps even show interest.
Mimi nitagombea hiyo ya governor. Huko mniombe sana. Na ukiwa wanaweza kuambia watu hapa wa karibu wanipigie kura, I am the best among the rest.
Ngilu will be facing current Kitui Governor Julius Malombe and Senator David Musila, who is also eyeing the Kitui gubernatorial seat. Kitui County is politically strategic, being home to Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who is hell-bent on having his name on the 2017 presidential ballot. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.
So the supremacy wars between members of Jubilee and Chama cha Mashinani in the South Rift have taken an ugly turn after Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto sustained injuries when a tear gas canister landed on his face. Now the governor, who is now admitted at the Nairobi hospital, accused the Jubilee administration of using the police to frustrate and intimidate their rivals. And as Chris Thairo now reports, the attack has been condemned by a cross-section of leaders, with Baringo Senator Gideon Moi calling for action against police officers involved.
Sunday afternoon, and police were forced to use tear gas to disperse supporters of Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto and his rival Sotik Member of Parliament Joyce Laboso after they clashed during a football match in Bomet town. In the melee, a tear gas canister landed on the face of Governor Isaac Ruto, causing a cut between his eye and nose. And Monday morning, the governor was airlifted to Nairobi and driven to Nairobi Hospital for special treatment.
On my way to church, I decided to pass by to ask the police not to continue harassing the youth and any other, because football is football. They were harassing, saying these ones are in different colors. They are supposed only to be in the Jubilee uniform. It is the police who actually hit me with a police can, the one that they use tear gas. But they had not even removed the lid so that the tear gas would flow out.
Sentiments that were dismissed by Sotik MP Dr. Joyce Laboso, who has been campaigning to unseat Governor Ruto come 2017 general election.
The governor of Bomet. They came in, we had had security because we had been informed earlier on that there was plans to cause chaos. So immediately they came in, the security personnel, walked towards them and told them, please, games are going on here. Why have you come in? You are stopping people who are going on with their games. The governor with his team came to disrupt an ongoing program. It has nothing to do with, I don't know, those claims that he's making. Why did it not happen on Friday? Because the team has been here.
The governor is however pointing an accusing finger at the Jubilee administration.
They say they want to see only Jubilee in Bomet. Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they've been telling us, that they only want to see Jubilee supporters. You only put on Jubilee regalia if you want police to have peace with you.
The security personnel had no reason even to touch you, because if you had gone out of the field like the Wananchi were demanding, nobody would not have been touched. But you are insisting. People want to play. People want to watch the game, and you have come to disrupt an ongoing match.
The incident has only fueled the existing bitter relationship between Deputy President William Ruto, who is said to be favoring Joyce Laboso, and Governor Isaac Ruto, who fell out with the Jubilee administration, both of whom are engaged in supremacy battle over South Rift.
The police in Bomet are acting under instructions to harass anyone who appears not to be in agreement with the system. They are coming directly from the office of the Deputy President. Yeah.
And why is it that when he himself is there, that there is violence? Why he was not in Sotik, he was not in Silibwet, and everything went peacefully? Why, when he comes into the field, do we now begin to have violence? So let the truth be known.
Baringo Senator and Kanu Chairman Gideon Moi has condemned the act by the police and asked the Inspector General of Police, Joseph Boynet, to probe the incident and take appropriate action. In a statement to newsrooms, Moi said it is unfortunate that the police, who are meant to protect the lives of the public, are the same ones in the forefront of assaulting them. CORD leader Raila Odinga and Gideon Moi were among political leaders who visited Governor Ruto at his hospital bed at the Nairobi Hospital. Chris Tairu, KTN News.
Away from politics now, and a record 577,253 candidates were subjected to stringent exam regulations as the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education kicked off across the country. Of course, the examinations and security emerged as the most important aspect in various centers, with an aim to avoid the 71% exam irregularities reported last year.
A Form 4 candidate at Machungwa High School, Trans Nzoia County, was forced to sit her KCSE examinations in hospital after she delivered a baby boy at BKK Health Center. The girl was rushed to hospital after developing labor pains in the company of her supervisors before the start of her paper.
Tulifika hapa, tukapima, tukaona ya kwamba njia ya mtoto iko sawa na akajifungua sawa sawa. Na huyo mtoto alikuwa kilo 3.1.
Another candidate, David Karaoke Mwangi, also sat his exams in hospital. The student from Manester Boys High School in Nakuru County was diagnosed with pneumonia. More than 500,000 candidates are sitting the examinations across the country in the wake of tough regulations to curb cheating. At Friends Center in Makadara, Nairobi, 314 private candidates are taking their exams. Majority are adult learners, with the oldest being 45 years old. The invigilators had to take away extra clothing belonging to the candidates.
Ilikuwa na challenges sababu napata masomo piga nini napata za hapo na andika tumali unaweza.
There's always security and the place is secured. Nobody can come in or go out, just the way you are seeing happening. And then when the paper is being opened, one of the candidates must witness the opening and sealing of the paper.
The same tight security was witnessed at Nairobi's Makadara sub-county that serves 15 centers where all the exams materials in the containers had been picked by school head teachers and educational officers as early as 6:45 a.m.
Yani nalala hapa kama yenye tumepeana saa hii iliingia jana tukaweka alafu tumeweza kupeana leo asubuhi. Ile mtihani ambayo itafanywa kesho tuna expect watu wa Kenya National Examinations Council wataleta leo. Alafu tutaweka hapa ndani. Alafu walimu waje wachukue kesho asubuhi.
We want our children to just do normal exams and do normal results. And I want to confirm to the nation once again that this examination, up to the time I'm speaking, has not leaked.
The tight measures witnessed this year are intended to restore credibility of the national exams. Meanwhile, in this year's examination, the number of inmates sitting the exams at the Naivasha GK prison increased to 26 from 17 last year. Caroline B., KTN News.
Now, the sunset hours of the U.S. campaign period have the Republican and Democratic candidates crisscrossing through battlegrounds in the effort to get as much support as possible. For the Democrats, this comes on the backdrop of a stubborn email scandal, while the FBI has failed to come up with anything incriminating in as far as that front is concerned. The Republicans, meanwhile, will have none of that. Take a look. Of the American elections. Stay with us throughout the day. We'll be covering it the only way, or rather, the way only we can.
The Big Q in association with DSTV.
Right, let's remind you of our big question tonight. We are asking you whether you support the planned protest by the opposition. And of course, this is coming in the backdrop of several scandals in as far as graft or corruption is concerned. So do you support those calls for demonstrations by the opposition? Tweet us at KTN Kenya at KTN News or at me directly, Sophia Wanuna. You can also send in a message free of charge, 22155. Stay with us. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to Monday Night News. So a family in Homa Bay County is crying foul after one of their own was dismissed from the Kenya Administration Police College in Embakasi in unclear circumstances. The family of David Otieno claims that their only child was dismissed after a police officer hit him during a rigorous training and he allegedly lost his mind.
Otieno left his home in Kanyango village in Homa Bay County as a recruit to join the administration police training school in Embakasi. His mother was optimistic that he will return home and rescue this humble family from abject poverty.
Mtoto wangu ni moja. Na hiyo mtoto wangu niyo mimi ulikuwa nafikiria anaweza kusaidia.
Otieno had attempted several times to join the police force, but in his fourth attempt he succeeded. He however says that things went wrong after 3 months of training.
I was not taken to a psychiatrist, and I think the process that they used was not okay. They just injected me as they thought that I was mad, but I was not mad.
Otieno says that what was supposed to be a physical training left him with serious head injuries that led to his hospitalization at Mathare Mental Hospital in Nairobi for 2 weeks.
Nimesikia ati yeye ni mgonjwa ati kichwa yake naroka. Baada hajaona kitu chochote. Sasa mimi nalia tu maneno moja. Osaidia mimi serikali.
Unajua zile madawa yenye watu wazimu wanapigwa nayo inafanya hata nguvu zao zinarudi chini, hata mawazo yao kufikiria inarudi chini. Pengine that is what was happening. Hiyo ndio sababu bado wanaenda kwa college, wanarudisha yeye kwa college, bado wanaona he is not taking the instructions.
The family is convinced that their child should go back and fulfill his dreams of becoming a police officer.
When I was taken to Mathare, I was just okay. I could read even the signboards and even things that were there. I was able to read.
The family also wonders why a police officer who was supposed to accompany him and hand over the dismissal letter to the area administration as well as to his family allegedly dropped the recruit at Kisii town at 11 p.m. before Otieno found his way home to Homa Bay County.
Sasa kitu mimi nalea ni moja. Serikali orudishie hiyo mtoto wangu.
The family now plans to visit a psychiatrist so as to prove that their son is not mentally ill. When David Otieno left Kanyango village in Homa Bay County, he had all hopes of becoming a police officer. But for now, who is to blame for his incomplete journey of becoming one of the disciplined officers? Fred Muturi, KTN News in Homa Bay County.
You're watching Monday Night News. Thank you so much for staying with us. When we return, Abby Agina will be telling you, amongst other stories, how Kenya is planning to enhance her ties with Botswana.
Well, good evening and a warm welcome to KTN Business. My name is Abby Agina. Well, Kenya Ports Authority is set to start the construction of a new offshore crude oil and refined fuel jetty to handle larger tankers. The terminal, whose construction begins in 2017, will have a crude oil pipeline connecting it with the Changamwe-based Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited. KPA Managing Director Catherine Muturi says the jetty is expected to increase efficiency in delivery of imported refined fuel for Kenya's domestic use and export to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi and Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. This means the Kipevu oil terminal will be relocated to an offshore site to allow offloading of tankers with a capacity of 170,000 tons.
Facilities. The most significant achievement this year was the successful completion and eventual commissioning of the first phase of the second container terminal. This new terminal has boosted the port's container handling capacity by 50%, with an additional 550,000 TEUs coming in annually. Initially, the capacity was 1.1 million TEUs, so it means that the port's annual container handling capacity now stands at 1.65 million TEUs. This terminal is also capable of handling fourth-generation vessels of 6,000 TEUs capacity, and we look forward to the positive impact it will have on businesses and the regional economies.
Some good developments there. Moving on, Crown Paints Kenya Limited is this year's winner of the Company of the Year Awards after emerging top in a tightly contested awards ceremony. Winners in different categories were feted by the Kenya Institute of Management at a gala night graced by ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru on Friday. Other winners included Vivek Investment Limited in overall SME Medium-Sized Company of the Year, while the CEO of the Year went to Dr. Sanjay Advani of pharmaceutical company Beta Healthcare. Crown Paints Head of Human Resource Nicholas Wanambisi won Manager of the Year award. The Company of the Year Awards, now in its 17th edition, is an annual event that this year rewards corporates for demonstrating excellence in running their operations at a time economic growth had slowed down. ICTCS Joe Musheru called on companies to leverage more on technology to remain relevant and cut down on operational costs. The media partner Standard Group rallied corporates to be proactive.
In the recent years, that most of the organizations are preferring to take 2 to 3 years to implement the OPI Business Excellence Framework before presenting themselves for the Company of the Year or for the SME of the Year. And that is for us as an institute and as a pioneer of this business excellence model in this country, that is the greatest benefit that we have found we have been able to give this country and these organizations.
Change is the only constant in a rapidly evolving environment. Therefore, businesses must embrace best management practices if they are to compete globally.
Allow me to congratulate the organizations that took part in the process that culminate in these celebrations. Each one of you is already a winner.
Indeed, all the best to the winners. Kenyan farmers have for years received the short end of the stick and have had to bear the brunt of everything from erratic rains, the rising prices of fertilizer, to late delivery of planting materials like seeds. To actually motivate them, however, sector stakeholders and the Ministry of Agriculture are now recognizing the best performing farmers from every county. On this week's edition of The Next Frontier, Philip Kitani examines their efforts.
The world's population is expected to grow to 9 billion people by 2050, and food experts are now warning that the current crop production methods are not compatible with the required high farm productivity that will be expected to feed these growing numbers.
Agriculture is a business, and it's a profitable business for that one.
Agricultural sector stakeholders are now looking for innovative ways to increase farm access to the latest farming trends and technologies. This to ensure the soil remains healthy while connecting farmers to high-quality, fast-maturing, drought-tolerant seed varieties.
The future of agriculture seems to be guaranteed. I was a worried man because I knew the average age of a farmer in Kenya is 63 years. And so it was becoming really very difficult to imagine who is going to farm in the next 5 years.
To kick off, the Ministry of Agriculture, Elgon Kenya Limited and BSF and other players in the agricultural sector have been running an annual National Farmers Competition Award scheme that is inspired by the hard work of the millions of smallholder farmers that are the backbone of the Kenyan farming sector.
It's only in agriculture where you can achieve 100% profit. You can never get that in the banking industry.
The reward scheme seeks to return the dignity of the soil and appreciate the immense contribution that goes into placing food on the tables of millions of Kenyan families by Kenyan farmers.
If we are supposed to reduce poverty in this country, what we need to do is to invest more in agriculture, bring in more technology in the area, so that more and more people, farmers, access this technology.
The scheme breaks the awards into 5 categories, namely small-scale farmers gearing to commercialize, small-scale farmers fully commercialized based on the level of investment and turnover per year, which should be less than 50 million shillings, large-scale fully commercialized farm categories that has an annual turnover of 50 million shillings, large-scale agro-input dealers with an investment of not less than 5 million shillings, and small-scale agro dealers at an investment level of 2 million shillings. Philip Ketan for the Next Frontier.
Many thanks there, Philip Kitani. And that's how we wrap it up on KTN Business. My name is Abegina. Thank you for watching. I leave you with the day's financial report.
A similar result in the second set. Kevin Chariot made easy work of his opponents from Ivory Coast, winning in sets of 6-2, 6-1 to advance to the next round. Petty and Danda also won his match against Fabrice Tuyishime from Rwanda in sets of 6-2, 6-4. The championships, which has attracted more than 40 players from 12 African countries, continue tomorrow at the Nairobi Club.
And go there and enjoy the game, you know, and what comes out, because I mean, like, always I enjoy the game and I end up winning and stuff like that, but you know, can't just go there and say, hey, I want to win this tournament, you know. So just go there and enjoy myself and play and train more on these courts, and I hope I do well in this tournament, you know.
Youngsters in the country aspiring to be the top basketball players will get a chance beginning next year to learn from their top coaches and former NBA players. This is after NBA Africa launched the NBA Junior League in Kenya. The project is set to boost grassroots basketball in the country, as the league will target teenagers in the country. Kenya was identified as one of the 5 priority countries in Africa that were targeted for development of basketball in the continent. Currently, NBA is already running similar competitions in 8 countries across the continent, with 12 million players currently taking part. U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Robert Godek, said his office will be giving a grant of 1 million Kenya shillings to the project.
And frankly, now that the Junior NBA is coming to Kenya, I'm looking forward to seeing Kenyan names on the rosters of NBA teams in the not-too-distant future. I know they'll be there. I've seen the extraordinary sporting talent in Kenya, and I have to say congratulations to Barry too, just as you did earlier.
Overlay. You know, we're trying to use basketball only as a conduit, as a hope, to get the young people and to talk to them about important, positive social issues. So today, we are proud to have launched 9 junior NBA programs in 8 African countries, and we are here to talk about junior NBA.
Luis Suarez ensured Barcelona did not